Hey Shakers, we're here with Scott Yates from Blogmutt.com. Scott, thanks for joining the Handshakin video series.
Happy to be here.
So Scott, maybe we could start by hearing just a little bit about your story.
Yeah, Blogmutt is my company that I founded with my co-founder Wade Green. We've been going about 4 years now, and it's just a service that helps businesses that have a blog and don't have enough time to write their own blog posts get their blog writing done for them. We have more than 8,000 writers now, all over the U.S. They have to be based in the U.S. That's the one rule. And Wade and I really started the business because we recognized that there are a lot of things that are happening with marketing automation. There are a lot of great tools out there. There are a lot of great things that you can do for search engine optimization and stuff like that. But the one thing that software just can't do is actually write a blog post. And writing a blog post is the most important part of any real solid marketing campaign these days. If you want people to find you, that's what you have to do. And so we started the business to help those businesses out, and it's been growing like crazy, and it's been a lot of fun. The Boulder County Business Report just named us the fastest growing business in Boulder.
Nice.
Yeah,
Congrats.
Yeah, nice little honor.
Cool. When you guys launched it, I know you're funded now. When you launched it, did you bootstrap for some time?
We bootstrapped for a little while, and then you say we're funded, but we're not. We haven't taken any funding other than a very small initial round that we took in our very earliest days. Jim Franklin, who I know has been a guest on the show, was one of the investors. Yeah,
great.
And that was just with a convertible note was the
okay.
structure that we used for that investment. And that business, and that's the only investment we've taken. All of the rest of the growth that we've had has been what I like to call customer funded.
Great.
And so
nice.
The customers are the best funders of all. They don't ask for crazy terms, they just want you to be excellent. So we just provide excellent service every single week for our clients, and they're very happy with it, and we're happy to provide it.
Great. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the first value of the handshake, which is an entrepreneurial community. We believe that aspiring entrepreneurs need to surround themselves by other like-minded entrepreneurs in a community. So maybe you could speak to any communities that you were a part of, even if we're going back to the first business, and then take us all the way to any communities that still play into your success with Blogmutt and your career as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, my first business, it was called My Traffic News, and I didn't know a lot of entrepreneurs then, almost none, and I probably made a lot of mistakes that I didn't need to make because I really didn't know that many people. I didn't know that, I just didn't have that much of awareness, and after I got going with it, I learned a lot more and grew more of a network. But really for most of the first parts of My Traffic News, the people I surrounded myself were just our customers and our partners. And so it was a solid little business, but it probably could have grown faster and better if I'd had some better mentors and more of a network around me. And then I got to meet more and more people through the second business, and then certainly through the third business. Now I've got a pretty wide network of different people, and I mentor officially and unofficially a lot of people I just talked to. But I still, I also mentor officially through a couple of programs.
Okay, great. And now, fast forwarding to today where you are with Blogmutt, would you say you're a part of any entrepreneurial communities, and could you share those with us?
Yeah, I mean a bunch. I go to a group called the Denver Founders Network. I go to that as often as I can. Boulder, Denver, New Tech. I go to those. The days don't work out for me to go to the Boulder ones as much, but I enjoy those when I can go. And then there are a few others that I try to get to from time to time, and then also just I try to read a lot of the blogs from groups like Built in Colorado, and Economy has a great local reporter here, and then the Boulder County Business Report and BizWest, which they gave us the award, so I guess I should say nice things about them, but they actually do some really terrific journalism.
Great.
Yeah.
And the two groups that you named that host events that you can go to in person are found on Meetup, which is a common thing. We're finding that Meetup's a great tool to find communities. Right. Are there any other websites or places you'd recommend aspiring entrepreneurs to go to find a community?
Meetup is probably the best anchor site to be able to find those groups and to be able to expand. And then also, if you've got a specialty within a particular software, there's very often a user group, and if there's not, it's a good idea to start one. But for instance, we have a good partnership with a software called HubSpot.
Yes.
A great company out of Cambridge, and they have a local HubSpot user group, and we're actually Blogmutt is a sponsor of that group. And then LinkedIn is always great too. There's a lot of good LinkedIn groups.
Yeah. So conclusion number one, Shakers: go to local meetup events, subscribe to newsletters relevant in your industry, and read blogs relevant to your startup, and that will help your chances of success.
And also don't worry if you get advice that you're not sure is the right advice. Just keep getting more advice. If you get advice that's contradictory, then you know that maybe it's not the right advice to follow and you gotta just follow your gut. But if you get a lot of advice that's different from a lot of different people who have a lot of good experience, and it's all saying one thing, and you decide to ignore it all, then you're in trouble.
And that's a common theme you'll see some of the most serious entrepreneurs who are going through startup accelerators talk about. They call it mentor whiplash. And typically you'll hear from a group of mentors that can tell you many different things. But if they're all saying the same thing, you can usually count on that being a white pearl.
Yeah.
Great. So let's move on to the second value of handshaking, which is aspiring entrepreneurs need to collect feedback from experts in their startup's industry. But the problem is these people are oftentimes wildly successful, extremely busy, and sometimes even multimillionaires. How do you get in front of these people to ask them the most difficult questions you have with the launching of your business?
Well, the main thing is, of course, that they're busy, and so you want to respect that time. And so, it seems like you want to spend a lot of time stroking their ego, maybe, and telling them how great they are. But really, that's just wasting their time, right? Like, people like to be helpful. And so if you can really carefully understand what the background is and what the position is of the person that you want help from, and get the question posed so that it's something that they can answer and can do something about, that's the most effective way. Think about that person, where they're sitting, and what they can do. And if there is something that they can do, make it easy for them to do that. I mean, sometimes it's just an introduction, right? Like sometimes you want to talk to one person to get an introduction to another person.
Yeah.
And so, can you please introduce me to this person? I saw from your LinkedIn profile that you're linked to them. Mm-hmm. Here's the company they're at, and here's a paragraph that you can cut and paste into your email that you're going to send to that person.
Yes.
So that you don't have to do that work.
Yes, absolutely. Keep it brief for the people you're reaching up to,
right,
and make it convenient for them. Don't be scared to write an introduction to offer them as a suggestion to get you in front of the person you're trying to meet with. Scott, you mentioned LinkedIn. Are there any other tools you use? I mean, obviously there's LinkedIn Message, there's email. Are there any other tools you use to kind of navigate through a network?
Well, one of them, I see you wearing the shirt from Full Contact. I just saw my friend Bart just last night. They have a great new plugin. There used to be a little plugin that worked with Gmail that got bought by LinkedIn, and so it just turned into a useless tool. So now Full Contact has a version. And Full Contact is great. It's a really terrific plugin. So I recommend looking for that Gmail plugin as a way to learn more about the social profile of people that you're emailing with.
Yeah.
So that's a great tool, and there's lots of other kind of tools out there that help. The one other thing I might add that is, not to contradict that it's important to get good advice from mentors, but I would say that even more important advice from mentors is advice from customers. Mm-hmm. Right? Like if you've got a thing that you're thinking about selling, the most important thing you can do is get it in front of a person who might
yes.
like it. And don't say, do you like it? Because everybody wants to be nice and
of
say,
course.
yes,
Yeah.
I like it, that's great. The question to ask is, will you take out your credit card and pay me right now?
Yes.
And if the answer to that is yes, even if it's not billed, if the answer is yes, then say, oh, that's great. I'll take your credit card information right now, and I won't bill you until X happens. And then go and work your tail off to make sure that X happens. But that's the only really valid feedback that you can get when you're starting with a new idea.
That's great advice, Shakers. Let's just pause right there before we conclude topic 2. Ask your customers, will they buy this right now? Because in a perfect world, everyone would buy it.
Right.
So I think that's great. LinkedIn, email, keep it convenient for the mentors. There's one other tool that I recently found called Conspire.
Oh, right.
Conspire is a tool you can use to quantify your second-degree connections on LinkedIn. It's a tool you can use for that, although it's a separate interface. And that can kind of help you see who emails who, how often, at what frequency, how quickly they respond, and you can kind of judge how close people are with Conspire a little bit better than LinkedIn. And that's a fairly new Colorado company here. For topic 2, how do you connect? Keep it convenient, keep it brief, and know exactly why you're talking to that person and be able to say it in perhaps one sentence. So let's go ahead and move on from connecting with experts to kind of your personal mentors. How do you build relationships with world-class mentors? How do you get them? How do you text to catch a happy hour or coffee together rather than email them for a meeting next month? How do you bring them closer to you?
A lot of it is about trust and about the ability to do what you say you're going to do and to be able to follow through with that. And that matters a lot over time. You know, and then a lot of times it's just success, right? It was a lot easier for me to get meetings with people when they knew that my first 2 companies had returned an investment to the initial investors. You know, like it's like that means something. And when they know that I've got a technical co-founder who I've worked with in 2 other businesses, boom. You know, that says a lot. You know, so that's what Jim Franklin said. He invested based on that. He didn't want to know what the idea was, right? He just needed to know those 2 things. And the idea kind of came after that. He knew that, you know, because the ideas always change, and you know that what you want to know is are they going to be able to figure it out?
Great, and of course, you know, as we grow from aspiring to successful entrepreneurs, we all can find our building blocks that really make up our credibility and speak confidently about those. In your case, it's you know, working with someone you've already worked with and having previous success. For aspiring entrepreneurs who are maybe catching a little bit of traction but aren't there yet, what is something they can use to build credibility or focus on any form of small previous success? What can they do to portray that allows them to connect further with their mentors?
Well, sometimes it's hard to be your own press agent, right? Like if you've got a customer who you have completed something successfully for a paying customer who's not a relative of yours, that's great. And then, you know, as soon as you find out that that's the case, you want to ask for a reference from that person and then just build on that. And then, you know, find other people who have similar pain points, and then deliver on what you say you're going to do for those people. And once you get a few of those are the people that, you know, like if you're trying to get investment, investors are interested in those people. They want to see those successes. They want to see that you. The other thing is just that you're really passionate about it. You want somebody who's passionate about the business, right? You don't want somebody who's going to go into the gardening business because they think the margins are whatever, rate of return or whatever. You want somebody who's got some dirt under their fingernails and is really interested in the topic. And so that's a big part of it too, is really delivering on what you say you're going to deliver, but also being passionate about doing that delivery. Yeah,
that's great. Use passion to show how serious you are about your idea shakers. Record things, write things down, video record them so you can share your successes and share all the exciting things going on in your entrepreneurial journey with all the people who need to see that, whether they're investors, customers, maybe a spouse. Document your successes, and that will lead you to greater successes. Great, so moving on to the action item. Scott, what do you recommend shakers and aspiring entrepreneurs who are looking to build relationships that'll help them get to entrepreneurial success? What is an action item they can take immediately after watching this video?
You know, it's a good idea what we talked about before, to go to a meetup that is about entrepreneurs and startups and all that sort of thing. But in some ways, maybe even more important is to find a meetup that's about the topic and the area that your startup is in. You know, if you've got a gardening startup or whatever, find those gardening startup meetups and go to those and talk to those people and really become ingrained in that community, in that niche community. So that would be the first thing I do, is find those groups, whether on LinkedIn or Meetup or whatever, and get to talk to those people in person.
Yeah, that's a great action item. Get out there, shakers, and go talk to people relevant to your startup's idea. And you know, here at the Handshakin video series, a common theme that we're learning is it's about just going out there and doing things. It's not about where the idea stands today. It's not about where the team stands today. It's just about pushing the effort forward. And you know, going to a meetup is a great way to learn more about your idea. Maybe our shakers suffer from shiny object syndrome and have 5 ideas, and they don't want to go to a meetup until they pick one. But that's not the way to do it. It's go to the meetup to learn which one. It's about pushing the effort forward.
Right.
Great. Love it, Scott. So let's see, any other conclusions, notable items?
Well, the shiny object syndrome is a good one to watch out for. You spend a lot of time developing some product, and it's easy to fall into the trap of just wanting to talk about that product. And I can always tell a really new entrepreneur when the first thing they want to do is pull out their phone or pull out their iPad and start showing me the product without knowing at all if I am any kind of fit for what the product is that they're offering. So, the goal is to not be pushing your product in front of people. The idea is to get them so interested that they come looking for you.
Yeah.
And so that really only works with really listening to what the customers need.
Cool. Well, thank you, Scott, for joining the Handshakin video series. If we want to find you online, where can we find you?
Blogmutt.com. We work like a dog to fill up your blog. It's just blogmutt.com.
Great. And how about you personally, Scott? Are you on Twitter, Instagram?
Twitter. Blogmutt has a Twitter account at blogmutt.com, at Blogmutt, and then my personal one is at SCODTT, which is a reference to my personal website, which is a little bit out of date, which is sco.tt. So just the website is just Scott.
Great.
sco.tt.
Great. Thanks, Shakers. We'll see you next time.